Children, we have already discussed about autotrophic mode of nutrition. Today, let us start off with heterotrophic mode of nutrition. What do you mean by heterotrophic mode of nutrition? It is a mode of nutrition where organisms depend on other organisms for their nutritional needs. So these organisms which follow this mode of nutrition are known as heterotrophs. We have another definition for this heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that is breaking down complex organic substances into simple inorganic substances. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is categorized into three, that is parasitic mode of nutrition, saprophytic mode of nutrition, and holozoic mode of nutrition. Now, what is this parasitic mode of nutrition? Those organisms which follow this mode of nutrition are known as parasites. Now, parasites depend on other living organisms, or they live on the body of other living organisms known as the host. There are two types of parasites, that is endoparasites and ectoparasites. Endoparasites are organisms which live inside the body of the organism, while ectoparasites live outside the body of the organisms. Example for ectoparasites, that is leeches, lice, etc. And example for endoparasites are tapeworms, liver fluke, roundworms, etc. Plant parasite example is cuscuta, which we commonly call amarbale. Now, saprophytic mode of nutrition, those organisms which follow this mode of nutrition are known as saprophytes. Example for saprophytes are mushroom, fungi, mold, etc. Of course, mushrooms and molds come under fungi. Now, these organisms, they break down complex organic substances outside the body of the organism and then absorb it. They live on dead and decaying matter. Once again, saprophytes are organisms which act upon complex organic substances. They break down these complex organic substances outside and then it is incorporated, absorbed into the, once it is made simple, it is incorporated into the body. Holozoic mode of nutrition, the food is taken in as a whole and this complex food is then broken down to simple inorganic substances inside the body. So we have discussed three modes of nutrition under heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that is holozoic mode of nutrition, parasitic mode of nutrition, and saprophytic mode of nutrition. Herbivores are those organisms which depend on plants, while carnivores are those organisms which depend on other organisms or those which eat plants or herbivores. Now, the alimentary canal of carnivores are always smaller than that of the herbivores, because in case of herbivores, they need to digest cellulose, and digestion of cellulose is much more difficult than digestion of meat. Now, we had a general discussion on heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Let us see what mode of nutrition the amoeba follows. Amoeba is a unicellular organism which does not have a definite shape. When amoeba comes in contact with the prey, it puts forward finger-like projections called pseudopodia and engulfs the prey. Once the prey is engulfed, it is incorporated into the body of the amoeba and it forms a food vacuole. This food vacuole is then digested, absorbed and assimilated into the body of the amoeba and the waste is ejected out. There is another unicellular organism known as paramecium. In case of paramecium, it has a definite shape. It is a slipper-shaped organism. The prey, when it comes in contact with paramecium, it is brought towards a specific spot by small hair-like structures called cilia. The cilia help to bring the prey towards a specific spot called gullet. And the prey is then incorporated into the body of the paramecium through the gullet. Thus, it forms a food vacuole. Now, this food vacuole is then digested, absorbed and assimilated. And the waste is then ejected out through a specific spot. Now, let us focus on the difference between amoeba and paramecium. Amoeba, first of all, does not have a definite shape, but paramecium has a definite shape. In case of amoeba, it catches the prey with the help of finger-like projections called pseudopodia, while in the case of paramecium, cilia helps to bring the prey towards the specific spot. Second difference is that in case of amoeba, the food can be incorporated into, or the prey can be incorporated into the body by any part of the body or through any part of the body, while in case of paramecium, it is incorporated through a specific spot called gullet. Same in the case of ejecting out the waste. In case of amoeba, it can be ejected out through any part of the body, but in case of paramecium, it is ejected out only through a specific spot. Now we have discussed in detail about nutrition in amoeba and paramecium. Next, the most interesting, that is nutrition in human beings. Once again, let us bring back to our memory what is the definition of the word nutrition. Nutrition means taking in food from outside to inside and breaking down of this complex food into simple inorganic substances, incorporating it into the body, and thus energy is released and this energy is utilized for various purposes. Now this whole process of nutrition can be divided or subdivided into 5 processes. The first one is ingestion, that is taking in of food, followed by digestion, followed by absorption, assimilation, and finally egestion. I repeat, the 5 sub-processes of nutrition are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. Now let us discuss what is the alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is a long tube that starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. Alimentary canal is otherwise known as the gut. The various parts of the alimentary canal are mouth, which is otherwise known as the buccal cavity, esophagus, also known as the food pipe, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus, and also associated associated with this are various glands, salivary glands, liver, pancreas, gastric glands, intestinal glands, etc. We shall study in detail each. First, the mouth. Food is ingested through the mouth or taken in through the mouth. Mouth is otherwise known as buccal cavity. Now, when we focus on the mouth, we need to discuss the role of teeth, tongue and salivary glands. First of all, teeth. In human beings, we have two sets of teeth. When you are kids, you have what is called the milk teeth, which falls off at the age of 10 to 11, and then you get your permanent set of teeth. We have a total of 32 teeth, and these 32 teeth all are not similar. We have 4 different types of teeth, that is the incisors, canine, molars, premolars, and each has a different function. Incisors are for biting, canines for tearing, premolars and molars for grinding and chewing the food properly. Now, tongue. It is a highly muscular and flexible organ. Tongue helps in speech. It also helps us to detect taste because gustatory receptors are present on the tongue. Not only that, tongue helps to mix the food properly and helps in swallowing it. Salivary glands. We have 3 pairs of salivary glands located in the mouth, and they produce a liquid called saliva, which contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. What is the function of salivary amylase? Salivary amylase helps in the breakdown of starch to sugar. Here we have an activity. Let us take 2 test tubes, each containing 1 ml of 1% starch solution. We need to label them as A and B. In test tube A, we need to add saliva, and in test tube B, we will not. After this, we add a few drops of iodine in test tube A and B as well, and keep this experimental setup for 20 to 30 minutes. Then when we look at it, we see that there is no color change in test tube A, while in test tube B, the color has changed to blue-black, which indicates the presence of starch. So what has happened in test tube A? In test tube A, the presence of salivary amylase, due to the presence of salivary amylase, starch was broken down to sugar. So there is no color change. So what is the function of salivary amylase? Once again, breaking down of complex starch to simple sugar. So once again, I just want to rewind, that is, what are the topics we discussed today? What is heterotrophic mode of nutrition? Which are the 3 types of or subdivisions of heterotrophic mode of nutrition? Mode of nutrition in amoeba, paramecium, what are the differences? What is the general definition of nutrition? And the 5 processes involved in nutrition, and also the various parts of the buccal cavity.